Hi and welcome to Teach the Table. I'm Nathan and this is Tobago. Each player is a treasure hunter on the island of Tobago, which is mostly randomly generated. And together, players will create treasure maps to pinpoint the location of treasures, and the player to reach that location with their ATV on the map will get to dig up the treasure to potentially share the spoils with those who helped create the treasure map for it. But beware, a treasure may be cursed, which will force you to lose treasure that you've already gained. Once all treasure maps have been distributed, the game will end and the player with the most gold is crowned the winner. Players will take one action per turn going clockwise around the table. There are only 3 possible actions. Play a clue card to narrow down the location of one of these 4 treasures, or move your ATV around the map, or, if you need, you can discard and redraw your entire hand of clue cards, but this forgoes your entire turn. To play a clue card, choose one of the cards in your hand and place it in a column below one of the treasures. Also place your colored compass rose on there to give you credit for helping build the treasure map. Each card you place will help narrow down where the actual treasure is on the island, until only one spot out there meets the criteria on your map. There's a nifty guide in the rulebook which shows you what all these symbols mean, but in this example, the gray treasure was already inside the largest forest area on the map, and now I've narrowed it down by saying it's also one space away from a lake. Keep in mind, you can't play a clue to a treasure map that doesn't narrow down the location of that treasure by at least one space. So I couldn't play it's inside a forest when we already know it's inside the largest forest area on the map. You also can't play a clue that contradicts a previous clue on that treasure. For example, when we already know it's inside the largest forest area, I can't say that it's next to the largest forest area. Lastly, you can't play a clue to a treasure if it eliminates all the spaces from the board. And in this case, there's no spaces that meet all 3 of these criteria, so I couldn't do that. Once the number of possible spaces is low enough, you can place the treasure markers on the board to mark any possible spaces where that treasure could be at. All spaces are fair game except for the ocean. Eventually, treasure markers will get removed to the point where only one is left, and that is where the treasure is. After playing a clue card, you'll draw another one so that you have 4 cards in your hand at all times, or 6 cards in a 2-player game. If you don't want to play a card, you can move your ATV, and to do so, you can move up to 3 legs across the board. A leg is defined as moving any number of spaces within the same terrain type that you're already in, or changing terrain type by moving to one adjacent space is also a leg. So for example, I could go 1 leg to go there, 1 leg to go there, and 1 leg to go there. You can move your ATV onto any space even if it contains objects or opponent ATVs. If you move to a space where a treasure is, then you can dig up that treasure, but that will end all of your movement. Eventually there will be amulets on the edges of the map, and if you get your ATV to one of those spaces, you can pick up an amulet. That won't end all of your movement, it just ends the movement of that leg. So if you still have legs remaining, you can continue on. Amulets can be collected throughout the game, and they can either be discarded to protect you from being harmed by a cursed treasure, or you can spend them on your turn to grant you an additional free power for each amulet you spend. Some of the powers should be familiar to you, playing a clue card to one of the treasure maps, or exchanging your entire hand of clue cards to get new cards. Or you can move your ATV up to 3 legs throughout the map. However, you cannot pick up more amulets if you're using your amulet power to move. An amulet could also be spent to let you remove 1 treasure marker from the board, eliminating that space from having the treasure. The last and most important aspect of the game is raising the treasure. Once only 1 marker is left on the board, and you get your ATV to that space, then you can raise the treasure. To start, they remove the sight marker from the board and place one of their compass roses below the treasure map to signify that they're the one who dug it up. Each compass rose will let the player stake a claim on some of the treasure. Each player draws treasure cards equal to the number of compass roses they have on that treasure map, and they secretly look at their cards. Each treasure card will have anywhere from 2 to 6 gold on it, or you could get the skull and crossbones, which is a curse. After looking at all the cards, the players return them all face down to the middle of the table, and 1 additional card is added to the pile before they are all shuffled up. Next, the top card is displayed, and it's going to be offered to the players with compass roses, going in sequence from the bottom to the top, so the player who dug up the treasure gets first dibs. If that player passes, then it goes to the next player in sequence, so everyone will get chances to accept that card. If all players pass on it, it just gets discarded. But if someone actually accepts it, then they're going to take their compass rose off the map and they get to keep that card face down in their stack. This continues until either all compass roses are off of that treasure map, or if all treasure cards have been offered for this treasure. If a curse card is ever drawn while distributing treasure, then all the rest of the available treasure is going to be immediately discarded, and any player who still has at least one compass rose on the column must either discard an amulet to protect themselves or discard their most valuable treasure card. Any compass roses left over will be removed. After raising a treasure, all the clue cards will be discarded from underneath that treasure, and the player who claimed the last treasure card can place a clue card for free underneath that treasure to get it started. Another thing that happens after a treasure is raised is that amulets will be placed on the edge of the board on the spaces where each statue is looking. So there will always be 3 amulets that appear. Unless there's already an amulet on a space, then a new one would not go there. After the amulets appear, the statues will turn 60 degrees clockwise so that they're facing a new edge of the map where amulets can appear after another treasure is raised. Play continues clockwise around the table until the treasure deck has been completely distributed. If there aren't enough cards for all the compass roses in that last treasure of the game, then shuffle up the discard pile by first removing any of the curse cards and take out as many of those as you need for the final compass roses. After that final treasure distribution is complete, everyone counts up their total amount of gold to determine who the winner is. There's no tiebreaker in this game. And that's how you play Tobago. Thanks for watching Teach the Table. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you like these videos, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. As always, don't forget to have fun.